at all. I didn't think that he was gay. I didn't assume any of those things. But he invited me over to his house and we were playing video games. And when we were playing video games, he kept putting his hand on my leg and rubbing it. And I was in this place where I did not know what to do. I had no idea. And so I kind of just froze and did nothing and kept playing the video game, just trying to ignore it. And I realized that if I'm a straight person, I would be like, what are you doing here, right? But in this place, I was weirded out going, okay, this person is clearly gay. He's coming on to me here. I have no idea what to do. Welcome to the Queer Quest podcast, your beacon of light and sprinkle of glitter in the queer community. I'm your host, Christiano Green, CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for queer individuals. And together, we're embarking on a journey of transformation. Each week, we bring you a new training topic, all connected with visionary queer leaders in healing and coaching. Diving deep into conversations that inspire growth, celebrate diversity, and empower you to live authentically. So wherever you are, settle in and let's get ready to unlock the vibrant potential within. This is where your quest begins. Hello, you fabulous souls, and welcome to this week's episode of the Queer Quest podcast. I'm your host, Christiano Green. And this week on the podcast, I'm going to talk to you about what being queer means to me and also share my journey of queerness because it has evolved over time. So really, what does queer mean? Now, I know a lot of people, get a little bit confused by this, but really queer really is the umbrella term for anyone that is in the LGBTQIA plus community, anyone who's on the spectrum of gender or sexuality and is outside of, cisgender or the heteronormative, standpoint when it comes to sexuality. So being queer means anything outside of heterosexual or cisgender within your gender. Now, that has a lot of different facets. So, when we talk about sexuality, anything that is, like I said, not heterosexual, meaning you could be bisexual, you could be gay, you could be lesbian, you could be pansexual, anything that's just outside of the normal. You could be someone who's experimenting, right, with your sexuality, and you're not ready to define yourself outside of it, right? Any of those things, right? You fit into that category of being a bit queer. Same things happens when it comes to your gender. You may be a man or a woman, and that is you being cisgender. So that would mean that you are kind of just the normal when it comes to the gender spectrum. But you could be someone who feels like when it comes to gender that you don't fit into what your body is. You may feel like you are the opposite. You may also feel like, you don't fit into any gender norms, right? So we've got non-binary, we've got transgender, we've got trans man, trans female, you've got two-spirit, right? There are so many different things that come into this, spectrum of gender. And so if you're someone who just doesn't feel 100% male or female within that body of being a male or a female, then you are, again, in the spectrum of being on the spectrum as well. So if you fit into those things, then you found the Queer Quest podcast, and we talk to people who are, like I said, in the queer community. And me, myself, have gone through a very, deep journey of my own queerness as well. I guess, I'm not one of those, queer people who, knew from a very young age that they were gay or queer or different, right? I didn't have that. I remember growing up in England, and I left England when I was 9 years old and had no inkling or understanding that I was different or that I was gay or that I was attracted to other things. From my memories right now, I don't have any of those things. My very first kind of memories of or things that I can remember relating to being gay or being queer was when I was probably about 12 or 13 years of age. I think it's probably when I was going through puberty and I started to realize that I was attracted to men as well. I would go into my brother's room, who was, 5-6 years older than me, and I'd go into his, area where he would keep his porno magazines. And I would take those magazines, and this is around the time when I started to, realize that I have something down there that is, a little bit, it's making it stand at times, right? And I was, exploring my body in that regard. And so I remember going through his porno magazines and noticing that anytime there was a naked man and you'd see an erection of a guy, that was what really turned me on. And so whenever I was, exploring my body and masturbating and doing those things, I would take these magazines. And that was the first time that I really realized that, okay, I'm not attracted to women, because I would see all these women, and they were beautiful women in a magazine naked, were, showing all of their tits and their vaginas and all of those things, but just not for me. They did not turn me on. But seeing a man's erection, that always kind of turned me on. So that was kind of when I first realized that I was attracted to men. Now, you might, if you were to ask my parents, they might have noticed different signs growing up, because I had two older brothers, right? And, if you have seen things that are normal and something's different, you might start to think, what's different here? I personally didn't have any of that understanding. That's kind of the first time that I really realized that I was gay and that I was different. But I repressed, because I grew up in a place that really just was 100% not open at all for any gay people at all. It was definitely a more coastal area, a more religious area, more, backwards kind of area. And yeah, there was not a single person that I knew or had ever met that was open or gay at all. Now, of course, there were some people that you might have assumed or had an assumption that they could be, and there are always people in the school ground that got bullied for it, me being one of those people, right? I constantly got bullied severely for being gay, and I didn't even understand it. So I was getting bullied for this thing way before I even understood what they were calling me or understood what it meant. Now, because I was getting this kind of like on a constant basis, I was too afraid to go and search these things. So I would never go on and be like, search in Google or whatever it was back. It was a Yahoo or things back then. There was a different search engine, and search it, because I was afraid to do it. That one, what would come up, and two, I was afraid that other people would find out if I searched these things. So I kind of repressed, dealt with the bullying, constantly, daily, severe bullying, and kind of, like I said, locked down a lot of the more traumatic memories from that period. And it was really only after I left school, even a few years after school, where I even had my first experience with someone else. So I would say my very first experience with another person, another guy, was a very awkward situation. Now, I was in the workplace, and I had a person who was probably one of my first friends. Now, I didn't think or suspect or even have any attraction to this person at all. I didn't think that he was gay. I didn't assume any of those things. But he invited me over to his house, and we were playing video games. And when we were playing video games, he kept putting his hand on my leg and rubbing it. And I was in this place where I did not know what to do. I had no idea. And so I kind of just froze and did nothing and kept playing the video game, just trying to ignore it. And I realized that if I was a straight person, I would be like, what are you doing here, right? But in this place, I was weirded out, going, okay, this person is clearly gay. He's coming on to me here. I have no idea what to do. And so after that, I kind of left that place and kind of never spoke to that person again, because to me, it was a whole lot of emotions coming through to me of oh my God, I don't know what to do here. It was so that's kind of when I first had to start to realize I have to do something about this, because I was at home a lot of the time, spending most of my life on my own. I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with anxiety. I was dealing with loneliness, even suicidal thoughts. And the thought of coming out to anyone or even sharing this with one single person scared the shit out of me, because of all of those years of bullying. And I thought that if I told anyone else, that they would think all of these negative things, that I would get called a faggot, I would get pushed around, or get pushed down the stairs, things like that. And imagine if I told my family and they hated me as well. That would really probably push me to the limit of, actually suicide. So it took me a few months of dealing with this stuff, even to the point where I could be in my own house and I could look in the mirror and try to say the words I'm gay, but they wouldn't come up. I'd be like, and it wouldn't come out, and I would end up just on the floor crying, going, please, God, please, if you're there, because my family was not religious at all, but we grew up in a religious area. I was trying to pray it. I was like, please, Lord, if you're there, please make this not be this way. I don't want to live this life, please, Lord. And I'm sure probably a lot of you people out there listening can relate to that at some point where maybe you tried to bargain or pray it away. It's actually one of the stages of coming out, coming to terms with yourself as a gay person or queer person, whatever you want to define yourself as well. So I went through that journey there, and I finally said to myself, after, one of those nights where I really was thinking about, ending my life, I've got to actually go and do something about it. So I made my way down to Sydney, which is an hour and a half drive, got completely lost. Took me about 3 hours instead of the hour and a half because I kept going the wrong way. And I kept stopping and going, having a bit of a panic attack going down. And I'm meant to be going here. I'm getting lost. This is a mess. So just turn around. But I went down there. I went to the gay club for the first time. And it was crazy seeing other people out there who were just like me. They looked like they were having the best time of their life. They were enjoying life to the fullest. And of course, they're drinking, they're taking drugs, and they're having a great time. And I'm none the wiser when it came to drugs at all. I'd never really, had friends growing up. I never got into that space or did any of those things. I'd only ever, drunk before. So I got myself drunk, and I just remember kissing someone for the first time. And I remember kissing them for hours and hours and hours and hours, and then end up finally going home with this person because I was just like finally doing something and feeling all these emotions and feelings, and it felt right because I saw these other people around me. And that's kind of what I did. That night, I went home with that person, and again, never saw that person ever again. And then slowly over the next coming months and years, I started to go out more, started to meet friends who were gay, and started to be, a part of the gay community. But my interest in the gay community was through partying. And I kind of felt like and saw like this was the life of gay people. And, whenever you saw things on TV as well, if you watch some of those shows, Queer as Folk, the life was also like that. You work, but then you go out and you party and you live life and that. And so I got caught up into the world of drinking, partying, drugs. And that was my life for well over a decade. And I had some of the best times ever, but I also had some of the real darkest times as well because I was dealing still with a lot of the trauma, right? And so working through that over the last, 5 to 6 years, doing personal development, actually getting help, getting coaching, getting healings, seeing therapists, doing everything that I've done to get to where I am today has led me on a journey as well when it comes to my sexuality and to, my gender as well. Because when it comes down to it, sexuality is a very important part of who we are as people, not just because of who we have sex with. Or I'm in a relationship, yes, with a man, and we've been in a relationship for 2.5 years. And I love him. We have a great relationship. It's beautiful. Like, it's a beautiful relationship. But what is deeper is like the journey that we go on as gay or queer people to come and fully be authentic who we are, accept ourselves, and live openly, right? That is a huge journey. And that is part of the gay and the queer experience. As much as it is as who you love, it's the overcoming of the trials and the tribulations, the struggles that you've been through. It's really defining life on your terms and living life, coming out of the shadows. Like, there are still periods where you can walk into a room and not know if what people think of gay or queer people, and you can still have those fears around you. So it happens that, you being a gay or queer person isn't just about you sleeping, it's about overcoming the struggle and actually working, defining life for yourself and being authentic and really getting the true meaning of who you are and your identity. It's such a deep, I think, soul expanding, emotional experience. It's a spiritual experience as well. I think being gay and queer is a spiritual journey as well. And I think because of the fact that there is, so much to do with religion and being, denied, religion and being denied what God thinks of you and all of that stuff, I think it pushes you to search for something more, search for something deeper within yourself, and also like deeper universally, right? Like energetically, vibrationally, there is so much more deeper stuff that you find by going through this journey. So I call coming out and really opening up and letting people into who you are a spiritual journey as well. And I think being gay and queer is that as well. So that's kind of the journey of sexuality side of it. When it comes to gender as well, I like to class myself as gender fluid. Yes, I'm 100% define myself as a man, but when it comes down to what the societal, views and norms of male and female, masculine and feminine, I find myself that I really dance between the two. I find myself that I'm in touch with my masculine energy. I'm in touch with my feminine energy. So really, a lot of the time, I don't necessarily feel like if you were to say this is a masculine person, this is a man, that I fit into that mold at all, right? Of course, I go by he and him. That's what I go by. But I feel gender fluid. I feel like I can be feminine, I can be masculine, and I don't really bother worrying about how other people see me, because I'm just me at the end of the day. And so when I say that, I'm gender fluid, it's because I look at it and go, everything is fluid when it comes to it. Sexuality is fluid. Gender is fluid. It's what you like. But I bet you out there are many, many straight men out there who've either thought about it or maybe even done it and explored their sexuality, right? Same with the straight women as well. What you define as, you can't tell me there's not one thought of that you probably had in your life where a straight person hasn't gone and thought about what it would be like to hook up with a guy or a girl, right? And same thing here. I've thought about it as well. I've thought about what would it be like if I was with a woman sexually or even in a relationship-wise. And then, I think about it, but I've never gone and acted on those things, right? It's never been something that I've gone to pursue. I've had the thoughts about it, and that's why I say it's a spectrum, because I can look at some women and I go, wow, you're absolutely stunning. You're gorgeous, like beautiful, like absolutely. You can see that, and you can even find that like sexually that they're attractive. But I don't want to go out and do anything about that because that's just not it's just not me. And it would be me trying to experiment in a way, but knowing that that's not me, right? And of course, I'm in relationships, so it doesn't really matter at this point because I'm in a monogamous relationship. But I think you get what I'm saying. So when it comes to the same thing, when it comes to gender, that's the same kind of thing that I see. There are many people out there on this journey really struggling to identify where they are on that spectrum as well. And like I said, I'm gender fluid. I go by he, him. Yes, that's kind of what I feel most comfortable with. But to be honest, like I said, I find myself to be very fluid when it comes to my masculine and my feminine. I embrace all of that. And I don't try to hide any of that. Yes, there are very parts of me that people in society would class feminine, right? And this is where this broader topic of queerness and gender comes into play. It's that like, who made these norms? Of course, society made these norms because they wanted to put people into a box. But as you can really realize, when it comes to your identity, wherever you fall is wherever you fall, and you should be okay being authentically you. And so I think being someone who is queer, that's why I don't necessarily class myself as just a gay person, a gay man. I class myself as a queer person because at the end of the day, we're all just people trying to be who we are, trying to live authentically, trying to live our lives. And that's why I feel gender fluidity is something important to me. And I also believe that so many people out there, their gender identity is important to them as well, because it's a part of their definition. It's a part of that spiritual awakening, that spiritual growth, that spiritual journey that they go on to get to a place of peace, happiness, joy, love within themselves as well. So if you're someone out there struggling with queerness, struggling with your queer identity, just know that you're not alone. There are so many people out there going through the same things, and just know that this is a journey that we go through. But once we get to a place of us satisfying ourselves, meaning to the point where we can look in the mirror and say, I know who you are. You're being authentic. I love you. I see you. Let's hold each other accountable to life and live life authentically as well. Because when you can do that, that's when the joy comes in. That's when the peace comes in. That's when the strength comes in. And that's when you get so close spiritually to the real version of yourself. So I'd love to hear from you, your journey. If you're someone who wants to open up and share a bit about your journey, or you have questions, further questions relating to my journey, maybe you relate to them. You know how to reach out to me on social media, or you can comment, where you are on YouTube, wherever you are, just comment below. I'm going to get back to you. I always check these, on a regular basis because I want to make sure that I'm answering your questions there as well. And other than that, I'm going to come back next week with a new episode. I'm going to have our first special guest onto the Queer Quest podcast. And I'm super excited to share this person with you because she is someone who's doing amazing things in the area that she works for. She's a coach for gay women. Yeah. So we've got some women out there who want to understand her, or men understanding the experiences of gay women, check out this next week's episode because it's going to be a great one for you to watch into. And always remember, you've got this and I've got you. Bye for now. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards love and happiness? Introducing the 21-day Gay Man's Guide to Love and Happiness. This isn't just a course, it's a pathway to discovering your true self, overcoming challenges, and embracing happiness. Join hundreds of gay men who found joy and freedom. Learn from Christiano Green, a coach with 20 years experience and a journey like yours. For a limited time, get this life-changing course at 75% off with a 100% risk-free guarantee. There's nothing to lose, but so much to gain. Your new life is just a click away. Enroll in the 21-day Gay Man's Guide to Love and Happiness today. Visit theglobalpridecollective.com and start your journey towards a happier, more fulfilled you.